Right. So do you think that the PM in that, and I'm not bad mouthing PMs because I have already said that I really love this job. Do you think the PM was just a glorified manager in that instance? Because in a way, sometimes I do feel, and I love your smile, but
Yeah,
sometimes I do
it
feel that PMs are just you're running around managing other
yeah,
people to
yeah,
do
yeah, yeah,
things
yeah,
that they have vision for.
yeah.
But then sometimes they don't even clearly, communicate that vision.
Hey, welcome all to Product Hack. My name is Hilary, and my co-host is here with me, Kim.
Hi,
Yeah,
everyone. Good to have you watching. And we excited about this episode. Great stuff.
I have a question for you. In fact, this is not a question. I think it will be more of a discussion where we could point out the various
Yes, let's do
um,
that. I love that.
steps around the cycle of a product.
Go for it.
Okay, and what I'd like us to do is to specify at every step who or which kind of stakeholder is
Is
involved or
involved. Yeah.
has to take part. Yeah, yeah. So would you like to
Brilliant.
start?
Let's do it. Yeah. So what
Okay.
exactly, if we were to pose it as a question or at least a discussion topic, what would you say it is?
If we like to pose as a question, let's say I'd say, okay, so what is the cycle that a product goes through before it is launched?
Great.
And who are the stakeholders that take part in the various steps throughout the cycle?
Okay, brilliant. I also think that it should be a given, but just so that it's clear, these are software products because I know that products can be,
Yeah.
Coca-Cola. Okay, great.
Okay.
Cool. Do you want me to go first or you want to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we can bounce. I'll go with maybe the first element that I think is
Mm-hmm.
important. It's even before the ideation.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that the communication around the idea itself,
Mm-hmm.
um, and this differs to ideation, which we'll get into because ideation is the process through which you expand on the single idea. But the the idea
Okay.
the idea itself is maybe created or initiated through a conversation, maybe the CEO or the CFO or the CPO, or even someone in the, not the C-suite, but within the organization,
Mm-hmm.
could even be a customer that has a great idea around the product that you
Well,
currently
we
have.
at the other stage, we don't know whether it's great yet.
Exactly, exactly. Nicely put. Maybe I should say they think it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, but yeah, because yeah, that's how it's presented, right? They tell you, I have a great idea, and then we don't know yet. We're now going to ask, or we're not going to do feasibility studies to know whether it's
exactly.
feasible. Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
that is such a perfect point. I don't think we're going to get through the whole life cycle. We might have to do a part two to this, but
Yeah,
let's see how far we
let's
get.
keep going.
Yeah, definitely. I do think with I've fallen prey to this sense of enthusiasm,
Yeah, you're not the
and
only
I had
one.
to learn the hard way,
Mhm.
especially when someone comes to you as a product manager within the organization and they're like, oh, this is so great. You've got to see it. Do you see my vision around it?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Um,
yes. But you aren't
hmm.
sure if you're buying into the emotion or if you're buying into the actual, vision.
Yeah,
So, and it's difficult also when, you have CEOs that are very charismatic people and
mhm.
they also have that sense of authority behind them. So you really have to stand your ground and say, okay, well, it sounds like a great idea, but And to your point, we have to do research
Yes.
around it first.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it just becomes a waste of time. So
Okay.
yes, it starts with the idea. And as I had mentioned, the stakeholders, and stakeholder is, I think we all know what that means, but it's basically the individuals or the parties involved who have a stake in what you're doing. So I would say that whoever's brought that to you, be it the head of engineering, be it, the operational team member, whoever's actually brought that to you, they are your stakeholder because they want to see what transpires. Is it a good idea? Can we actually build something out of that? And then also, I believe strongly at that point, your product team, so your fellow product managers, if you've got a manager above you, they are really important in that process, because my general practice is to go to them and then obviously to do my homework first, but then to say, listen, just peer review what I've kind of come up with. And does it make sense? Have I missed anything? Should I be doing more, to your point, research around something? Because you never quite have it fully down to just be a solo expert.
Yeah, and you need someone who could ask you quite very critical questions to make you see, or to poke holes in the idea, to make you see whether it's worth applying resources to before you even start any feasibility study, any major feasibility studies outside your internal stakeholders.
Oh, yeah,
right?
definitely.
Okay.
So do you want to go with the next step?
Okay. So the next step is then the feasibility studies, right?
Yes.
When you have the idea.
Yes.
Right. And so this could come in the form of market research, right? It could also come in I believe market research is the right fit, the right phrase or the right name for that process.
Yeah, so
right?
it's product market fit. Basically, sorry, go for it.
Also, during that time, do you need to find out what competitors are available and what they have, and whether it makes sense to go ahead with this idea if there are there's a competition, whether there's a gap somewhere that you need to fill in, and all that. I believe that encompasses the market research or the feasibility studies stage.
Yeah, I think to your point, there's a number of, I would say, documents that then get produced at the stage before you even start ideation. So between idea and ideation. And that is, to your point, a feasibility study, which can also sometimes be done either in conjunction or without the product team, but by the revenue team. And we just input certain aspects around the product that we expect to happen. We haven't done the full research. If we are taking on a feasibility study, then it does almost look like a business plan around the feature. So it looks at what the current market conditions are, what the resources are that are available to support this, including financial resources. It looks at the competitor analysis. So it does all of that. And I've done one like that before as a product manager. So it's not unknown. One of the things that—
would you say it's between the product manager and the revenue team or the salesperson? Or
correct.
No, I don't think it's sales, right?
Well, they call it business development.
Right.
Yeah, which I think nowadays is a really fancy term for sales, but I do think it's got more to it. So yeah, the business development team, which different companies structure differently, but generally falls within the revenue team. So one thing I wanted to mention, in addition to feasibility studies, that is quite important I believe at this stage is user research.
Research, yeah.
So a large part of what happens is we just ideate after the idea is given. And even if the study is feasible and there's a green light for it, we forget to actually go, okay, wait, does the user actually need this? And what are the various requirements they might have relating to it?
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to say? Because I know that's your
Yeah.
forte.
So user research is, yes, so now we have a green light. We need to know that, okay, if this product or this idea is meant for this group of people, what do they do currently without any solution? How do they go about achieving whatever they want to achieve? And what are their pain points? So is that information that actually comes back to help with the ideation process.
Exactly.
So yeah. So that I'd confidently say is a user experience researcher who should take care of that.
Yes. Yes.
There's always been that confusion that you could have the PM doing that, but I think if you have a small team and you don't have a UX that or someone who is focused on or someone within the team who can focus on just UX research, then I guess you can have the PM, taking care of that part.
True. I do think the PM, to your point, in smaller teams should be able to do that. And at the best part, even if they in larger teams know more or less what that entails, because at the heart of, I believe the PM should be the user. And so that user research almost feels intuitively part of their responsibility, at least to understand it or to review what's been done.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I wanted to stress a bit more because I think there's been this, when you have a UX designer on the team, there's this tendency to assume that person just does create screens or design
undervalue them.
Yeah, because this research is actually part of a UX designer's work.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think we need to probably also create a topic around this, but I think there has been a general misunderstanding, so confusion around UX stroke UI, because that's how it's always presented. It's always presented UX stroke UI.
Yeah, but I can tell you there are UX designers who are not really UI designers.
Exactly.
They don't have the full stack with them, but there's that confusion all the time. Yeah, this part is meant for a UX person.
Can I ask about that a little bit more? Because I think maybe your knowledge on that is a little broader than mine. So the user experience relates to
so it relates to the flow of let's say the features and the characteristics of the app that is being built.
Yes.
How it flows from one state to the other state.
Yes.
How best the user can catch a message, that is, so the architecture and then the content strategy of the states. Yeah, so that's all encompasses what a UX person does,
so
apart from the research.
Yes, I was going to ask you to bring in the research. So my understanding is you either do it before or you're doing it at the same time as understanding what the best user flow is.
So the UX presents the flows, that is after research, comes up with what, the possible flow of the product would be, the possible, so he or she presents the wireframe. So that I call it a skeleton of what the product should look like or the app should look like. And then the information architecture of the app. Then from there, the UI can now pick up the wireframes and add,
The graphics, really.
the graphics, and that is what you have high fidelity then. So with the wireframes, you have low fidelity, and I
Correct.
believe, yeah. But it's also expected in some organizations that a PM should be able to come up with all that I've just
Exactly.
mentioned, or a UX.
So it seems like I'm asking a few questions, but I really just want to unpack this a little bit more. So then, in your opinion, the difference between, and that was a great explanation around them, but the difference between UX, UI, and PM. So what would the PM, if they were not doing user experience and user interface design, be doing? I know we touched on it in a previous episode, but I just wanted that clarity because, like you had just said, often the PM is expected to be doing those two elements, and then sometimes it gets blurred with an actual UX or a UI designer.
I think in my capacity as a UX at a point in time, what I did with the PM, so I did the research, I conducted or I designed the flow, but I did it hand in hand with the PM. And so the PM sort of had the final say over whatever I did. And then we presented it together with to the rest of the team and had a discussion over it before any other.
So do you think
like the PM had the final say, or we sometimes did it together after I had gone to do the research and brought the feedback?
Right. So do you think that the PM in that, and I'm not bad mouthing PMs because I have already said that I really love this job or this role, but do you think the PM was just a glorified manager in that instance? Because, and again, I don't want to badmouth it, but I want us to be clear of the role because, in a way, sometimes I do feel, and I love your smile, but
yeah,
sometimes I do feel that PMs are just you're running around managing other people to do things that they have vision for. But then sometimes they don't even clearly, communicate that vision.
Yeah. I think the reason why I'm smiling is it reminded me of a time when I was a UX designer, and I think this was one of the reasons why it dawned on me that I could push up into the product management role, because I found myself on a team and there was no PM.
Yeah.
I was a user experience designer. And I think the other stakeholder on board was or the other managerial level person was tech lead. I think engineering director, engineering lead.
Sure.
And you'll be surprised how much work we did together. It felt like two roles that put together created a PM role, and we could work without a PM for almost, I think we even almost launched the product before we got a PM on the team.
See, that's
so that question came up, that is it really necessary? Because it looks like we knew where to go and what to do,
And I also think, to your point, because it highlights actually that maybe the strength of a PM, obviously in contrary to what we're saying, but drawing from it, is they do have that extra engineering or technical capacity together with the user research, understanding, and then they can also manage. So there needs to be that dynamic, but then their role or the value in what they bring can be questioned where there is only a UX or already a UX and already a strong lead in the engineering side.
Yeah.
Because often engineering leads also have great creativity, and when they're at a leading or in a leading position, they don't actually get stuck in the code. So they, that role also between the PM that then is on board and that engineering lead can become a bit blurred, because there is that element of a very, very similar capabilities.
Yeah, but let's not forget the PM's importance when it comes to doing all that and having the business goals, that's the company's goals
In
also
mind.
in mind,
Yeah.
and sort of merging all that we need to do. So I think the PM is still very important. At least keeps everybody in check. It's like the mother hen of the team.
I'm glad we saying that. I don't want to say that only because we are PMs, but I also think, so on the one hand, there's definitely, because I've had it and I've felt tangibly that your value can be questioned when there is a dynamic team that can do a lot of things. And then also you have to very strongly indicate to others, including your stakeholders, what your value is that you bring to the project as a PM. And you're contending with very strong minds, who are very technically able. And so I think that is really important. It seems like a tangent of what we were discussing, but I think it's really an important point to draw out as well. Okay.
So the next
I think this part, I think we might have to go into part two.
Okay, that's good, because I think there's a lot more to talk about, so that might take another whole episode.
Should we just maybe reiterate what we discussed at the moment? So the question was, what is the product life cycle, and who are the stakeholders involved? And we initially started with ideas, and then we went to feasibility studies / user requirements documents, and which tend to kind of be coupled with the feasibility studies, but specifically done by the product team, either by UX or the PM themselves. And that together allows the decision makers within the company to make a call on whether then to move forward officially. And then maybe next week in part two, we'll go to when the idea has been given the green light, how exactly do we move forward, the steps of ideation, then, sprint planning, etc.
Right. So that's taking a note. All right. I think it's been interesting today.
Yeah, definitely. I think I hope that the audience finds it useful, and please, I know it is exposing, but it would be really nice to hear your comments. And if you don't feel like putting it in the comment section, we do, as we had mentioned last week, have a company we're trying to get off the ground, Innovate Here. And the link to the website is below in the description, where you can email us at any time.
Yeah. Take care, everyone. And we hope to hear from you about what we've discussed so far. Anyway, I guess.
Cool. Okay. Cheers.
Take care. Cheers,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.